Once upon a time, there was a young psychiatrist called Hector.
It's an uphill battle.
I'm at the end of my rope.
Who had a very satisfactory life.
You seem a little blue, not your usual self.
You're going on a journey to distant lands.
Anything else?
Is you happy?
So it's Simon Pegg. Here's a guy who is in 2 of the biggest franchises in Hollywood right now, and yet still always makes time to come back to the UK to make British comedies like this.
Where were you thinking of going?
I was thinking China. Brilliant.
He's proven himself over and over again as a hugely talented comic actor, both in the Star Trek films, the Mission Impossibles, and of course Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz, as well as The World's End. But this film really sees Simon Pegg stretch his dramatic muscles more than ever before. I think you're going to like my first question.
I'm sure I will.
I mean, you will. It's just, I put a little
If
bit
it's
of
Are
effort
You in Star Wars, then I'm going to storm out.
With the novel on which this film is based being written by a psychiatrist, it's a self-help book disguised as fiction. I really want to know what Simon Pegg considers happiness in 2014.
I've come a very long way to discover what makes people happy.
It's Monday. We are closed.
Would you consider yourself to be a happy person?
What part of Monday don't you understand?
Simon Pegg, hello.
Hello.
It's really great to see you again.
As always.
Yeah? Yeah, it is. It is, as always.
It's like a kind of at least a biannual thing.
Yeah.
I'll see you, yeah.
And
Thank God. Then the work will dry up and I won't see you very often.
I'll still interview you if you would like me to do that.
I'll just come in.
Yeah.
How's the bus driving going? Yeah, good.
Right.
Yes.
Here we go. You have overcome your fantastic fear of everything. The world didn't end, and now you've taken on what seems like an impossible mission to search for happiness.
What an amazing, absolutely brilliant collection of some film titles.
I'd say, of all your work, this actually features some of the most dramatic and emotional acting work you've done on film.
Yeah.
Was the potential challenge inherent in that something that made you go, yeah, I'm ready to take this on now?
Totally, and I think because I think as an actor, my comfort zone is probably comedy. You know, I mean, that's kind of what I grew up loving and what I am known for doing. Mm-hmm. Some dramatic actors will tell you that their comfort zone is definitely not comedy, and it's somewhere that they're frightened to go. I like doing dramatic acting because it's not my comfort zone. It's more of a stretch. So when I read this film and you see Hector getting into, you know, life-threatening situations and experiencing genuine loss and sadness, it was definitely a draw for me because I love the challenge of trying to get that across without mugging. Because my thing is mugging. So if I'm in a situation where I'm not allowed to mug, that's a challenge.
I need to get away. Take a trip. I'm not making my patients any happier, and I need to do some research.
On what?
Happiness.
I enjoy the challenge of having to be sort of real, you know, and get stuff across without undercutting it with humour, because you can, even if you can always be dramatic, but then undermine it a little bit by being funny or ironic. Whereas, you know, in certain situations in Hector and the Search for Happiness, it called for, you know, Hector to be genuinely terrified or genuinely moved, and you can't undercut that, otherwise it would undermine the film.
Look at my life, Clara. I feel like such a fraud. You know, like an armchair traveller dishing out worldly advice.
When?
Soon. Very soon. Now.
Yeah, there's no way I can get the time off. I mean, not now. Not at this time of year.
I know. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry. I really, really am. Will you be here when I get back?
How long will you be gone?
I don't know.
Then I can't answer the question, can I?
He must be quite an interesting character, I imagine, to play, purely because he goes from one extreme to the other, this extreme of order and routine to this chaos and change. That must have been a real interest for you to play.
It was great, and it was also a sort of there was a parallel journey there with the shooting of the film as well, because we started in the relative normality of Vancouver and the sort of comfort of North America, and then we went to Johannesburg and Shanghai and got more and more out of our depth, you know, and it was a fascinating journey in real life as well as on the film. But yeah, I think he's the more I think about it, he's almost like a metaphor for society, Hector. You know, I feel like the majority of us have a very comfortable life. We live in a world where, particularly in this country, where we're okay off, and you know, we've got lots of amenities, and we're offered happiness in the shape of drink and food, and you know, when people that have been through genuine hardship, people whose lives aren't particularly comfortable, they tend to know the meaning of happiness with more clarity. People that lived through the Blitz were probably happier than we are now. And I think Hector has found a degree of happiness, which is comfort. And comfort is not happiness, nor is pleasure, and nor is entertainment. Those things aren't happiness, even though they are stand-ins. And he kind of like decides to get out of that comfort zone and find out what happiness really is, because it exists beyond your comfort zone happiness. And you have to know abject terror, you have to know utter misery in order to be truly happy. You know, that's kind of the message of the film, is that you have to know it all. You can't just be happy.
Let me show you happy.
Having a good time? Hector, come.
We have Skype.
You have Skype?
Are you coming home?
Not yet.
Fine, I can get on with my meaningless life.
It shouldn't always be easy. You know, watching a film shouldn't always be easy, and it's becoming easier and easier to watch films. You go and we get entertained. Entertainment is a hugely overrated function of art. It's just it's a valuable part of art, but it's not necessary, and it's not important. And if you can go and be entertained and sort of like moved and forced to reevaluate the ideas that you already have, or actually experience some discomfort, you will walk away. I'm not saying the film is uncomfortable, but there are moments in the film that are tough to watch. But it makes the whole experience a better experience than just one note. One note you leave, you know, you've been entertained, you've watched a firework display. These days you can watch a film and be as moved as you would be watching, you know, fireworks go off. And yet, what we don't have so much are films that leave you thinking about them the next morning.
How many of us can recall that moment when we experienced happiness as a state of being? That moment when everything in our world was all right.
I'm going to end with one final question, because as I've told you before, Spaced is without doubt one of the finest sitcoms that this country's produced, that you made, and I love it. When you were making that, did you see this level of success happening for you? Because you're a bona fide movie star now. You're in two of the biggest franchises in Hollywood. You get to sort of cherry pick which British comedies you choose to do. I mean, was this always the long-term plan?
No, honestly, it wasn't. And I remember when we all found out that Pete Serafinowicz was in episode 1 of Star Wars, we were all like, oh, why Pete's in a different world now? Because at that point we were just concentrating on that. It wasn't like this is a means to an end. I never see anything as I do as a stepping stone. It wasn't like, oh, Shaun of the Dead's going to get us in the back door in Hollywood. All we wanted to do was make that film. And because I'm not really one for like looking into, I don't have a 5-year plan or anything. I kind of take things as they come. Growing up as a fan of film, and entering into film as a fan, and still being a fan of film, it's nice to work within the industry that I love, you know, and have my job be a bit of as much as a hobby as anything, you know. I did something the other day. I forgot to tell my agent. I just agreed to do something with a friend of mine, and I got all these letters going, oh, they've been asked to do this, and I'm like, oh yeah, sorry, I forgot to tell you. It was just like, because it'd be fun to do that, you know. It's a fun job to have. I just got to run it past my agent.
Mr. Simon Pegg, it is always a genuine pleasure to see you. Thank you so much.
Likewise.
Have a lovely rest of your day.
I will. It won't be as nice as this.
We should concern ourselves not so much with the pursuit of happiness,
We all have the capacity to be happy.
but with the happiness of pursuit.
Here we go.
Oh, look at that.
With a kiss.